Everybody, welcome back to Day 3, Breakfast with Bob from 70.3 World Championships in beautiful Taupo. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by HOKA, Fly Human Fly, Master Spas, SFuels, Right Fuel, Right Time, Deboer Wetsuits, Quintana, and of course our Challenged Athletes Foundation. We've been around 30 years now and raised over $180 million. Keep challenged athletes in the game of life through sport. Our next guest is a true pioneer when it comes to the Ironman. It comes to really endurance sports. Mr. Bill Carlson joins us. Billy, it has been far too long. How you doing?
Hi, terrific, Bob.
And so put this guy a little closer. And so
Okay.
you're racing here.
I'm racing, yes. Qualified at the La Quinta Ironman.
Yes,
last
exactly
year.
a year
that was
ago.
A 70.3.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it was just this last weekend.
So back in the early 80s, when you came to the 1983 Ironman World Championship, you'd been diagnosed at the age of 16 with diabetes, and nowadays people wouldn't think that much of it. But back then, when in terms of exercise and for somebody using insulin, you're just sort of discouraged to do strenuous exercise.
Back then.
So when you came over to do the Ironman in 1983, I'm sure there was some concern about, can this guy actually do that?
Yeah, there was. I had to meet with the Ironman doctor
Yes.
at the time, and he wanted to check out the research that we had done and talk to me and find out, just what I was doing in training. And I had been very successful in my training to get ready. The
Right.
sports medicine information of the day indicated that with the diabetes, there wasn't any way I was going to be able to complete that kind of a race.
Isn't that wild?
It just wasn't happening. But I just had so much desire to learn how to do it, and I wasn't afraid to take risks with different kinds of insulins,
Right.
Concentrations of insulins, and using different tools. I had used an insulin pump in training, which I wound up not taking any insulin at all during that day of the race.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you
yeah.
had the insulin pump.
Well, I had the insulin pump on board.
Right.
But with that kind of a race, because you're dumping so much glycogen and your body becomes so sensitive, later in one of those ultra races, you don't want any insulin on board at all because you'll wind up bonking.
Gotcha.
You're just the more, and so the challenge is like with a race like this that's a little bit shorter, or even the Olympic distance, because you're hitting the throttle so hard, your liver is turning over all that stored glycogen, and the blood sugar goes through the roof. So in a shorter race, I have to take insulin. In one of these, nada.
That is cool.
Or just a little bit before the start of the race, yeah.
I remember it was like you were carrying a pharmacy with you during that race, right? You went 13:20, but you spent over 45 minutes basically stopping, getting your blood checked, all that type of stuff, right?
Right.
Was that your medical team, Ironman's medical team?
I had no, it was my own medical team.
Yeah.
It was a sports medicine clinic, Alta Institute, and another fellow sports doctor, Ken Forsyth.
Okay.
And then Dr. Neil Goldberg, and each of those guys were very concerned about my being able to perform. They invited me to their clinic after they saw that Runner's World article, you know, back in '83. And so we worked together, but we were able to find out that to do this race, because of the long duration, I wasn't going to be needing any insulin, but they were still looking at all the information.
All the markers, right? Yeah.
They were looking at all the information that was in the sports med stuff, but that was based on marathoners that were doing 5-hour marathons.
Right.
And I could do a 5-hour marathon almost with a broken leg. At that time, because I was just in such great fitness.
You were an elite athlete. You were, but the worry, the fact that you had to go to the Ironman to meet with their medical team to basically, they wanted to make sure you didn't drop dead.
That was good.
Yeah,
I was okay. Yeah, but they were out there, and with the wide world of sports, they covered the story. And no, it was very successful. I didn't have any low blood sugars or really elevated blood sugars throughout the entire day.
I always the Ironman World Championship has become sort of a testing ground over time. You were really one of the first when it comes to somebody with diabetes, and then we had Jim Howley, who had full blown AIDS, had a T cell count of 3, and did the Ironman when his doctors basically were telling me, if this guy tries to do this, he will die, right? He's got something that eats muscle mass, and then he's working out, and that's going to eat muscle mass, and he's not going to make it, and he's going to die. And then John McClain became the first guy with a hand cycle and a racing chair to finish Ironman World Championship. But what came out of that, and I don't know if you thought about this ahead of time, just the amount of awareness when ABC Wildwood Sports, Runner's World covering the story, the number of diabetics who gained from that, and also physicians who understood, okay, exercise is not a problem, and actually it could be good.
It could be very good, very good. Yeah. We were in touch with the American Diabetes Association, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation at the time, and they had sent out flyers to all of the members of their prescribers.
Yes, subscribers.
Subscribers.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, and some of the diabetes corporations that were that heard about the story.
Yeah.
They had communicated to all these people, and so it was a big splash when they saw it on Wide World of Sports. And so, from that, because of this notoriety,
yes,
we had started numerous sports organizations that are that people that have diabetes, and I did public speaking for many years.
Absolutely.
And it started an avalanche of sports, endurance sports for endurance athletes. So it was great. It was a great positive thing that that we did it that way to try to do the publicity stuff. Yeah,
well,
it was fantastic.
And you've had Team Type 1 doing Race Across America. I mean, there's been so many things that have come out of that. And it's funny, sometimes people don't understand. All it takes is one match. Right, all it takes is one match to start.
Challenge Athletes
like
Foundation.
Challenge Athletes Foundation,
That's
but
right.
it takes one match, and that was you, to basically show people what can be done. And a lot of times it's blind faith, because you could say you're going to be able to do it. You had no idea if you could actually do this thing. You were hoping, but leading into that, how many miles had you been riding and running and swimming? How did you prepare?
Oh, for the first race,
yeah.
My cycling was maybe 250, 300, something like that.
Right,
and then running wise, I'd be between 35 and 60.
It's perfect.
So that was quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then swimming, the Carlsbad pool.
Right.
We were after, in fact, Rick Wells, he lives here up in Auckland. Yeah. That was probably 4 days a week, 4 or 5 days a week.
So you were training
swim,
just like everybody else.
That. Yes.
What did you learn through that? Because you're pushing boundaries. You're changing perceptions. Through the training, did you have to adapt in terms of your insulin, in terms of other ways that you were taking care of your body?
Yeah, that's when I was discovering that when you're doing intense exercise with the diabetes, you're pushing your adrenaline.
Yes.
It affects the liver, and your glucose levels are going to go up. For a normal person, the insulin or the blood glucose levels, they stay normal. But for a diabetic, when you're going to be pushing the throttle really hard, when you take your insulin shot, you got to make sure that the peak of the insulin and the downcast of the insulin activity is going to marry up exactly with the right time that you're putting the gas on full throttle. And that's the trick.
Yes.
That's the trick, yeah, because you don't want to have, after you've been in the race maybe 2.5, 3 hours, you don't want to have any insulin activity on board. Otherwise, blood sugar just buries. Yeah.
So how have things changed for diabetics over the years?
People really understand this technique that I'm discussing.
Yes.
Yeah. Cliff Sherb, he was, I think he was a world record holder for insulin-dependent diabetic for the 70.3 race. He's a coach.
Yeah.
And with his tons of research and stuff he's done with athletes, he put together these algorithms, and his business is called Glucose Advisors. And I had learned,
so cool.
Yeah, a lot of the things that I had learned and documented about myself, he has done with hundreds and hundreds of diabetic athletes. So he's got his fingers on the pulse.
So someone who's a diabetic, it's very there's a lot of awareness out there and a lot of ways to get that information. Because back then you had nothing. Right? There's no internet. There's no web, any of that stuff. So
exercise science classes, we learned how to do the histograms, flow sheets.
Yeah.
And so I would document these with layovers and stuff like that so that I could see, where my blood sugar levels were going with different types of activities,
Right.
different intensities, what the temperatures were of the day, fatigue level, numerous subsequent days of doing these endurance sports and seeing what happens with all that blood sugar. That was how I was able to nail it.
How many endurance events have you done now since then?
Oh, shucks.
Over 300.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. We were looking at it, I think, like 160, 180, 190 triathlons probably.
Yeah, and then
like
you've got 50 milers.
80 marathons. I've done 100-mile foot races. More than 20 50-mile runs.
Right.
Yeah. It's like there's something inside me. Like when I was a child, I had dreamt. I don't know if something like this happened to you.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, I had dreamt of flying, and then my dad started me on running. I'd go running
Right.
with him
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I was 9 years old.
Right.
And then I would have these dreams of flying under my own power. And so when because I just love this work ethic thing,
Right.
it just feels good.
Yeah.
I just got into that. And so for me to do this and to do heavy labor and triathlon sports, it's like a dopamine hit for me.
Yeah,
when people say it's too tough, I like, come on, bring it on, man. I'm
You
into
enjoy
it. I
it.
love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Putting your body out
So it's
there.
different. It's different for different people. Yeah.
So when you were first diagnosed at the age of 16, what did the doctors tell you then?
The doctor said, Bill, you need to use these dipsticks to check your urine to make sure your blood sugar is not spilling over. It was a different test, back
Right.
in the 70s. And he said all the sports and all that activity, that's going to be very good for you, but you're going to learn have to learn how the management of the insulin and the sports go. And so when I was in high school football, I would. It really took me a year to figure it out, and then I went back and returned to high school football, and then I did much better with it.
So when you're at Ironman Wisconsin back in 2016 or whatever that is, and there's 40 other diabetics in the race, right?
Yeah, we had
right. 40 other diabetics are doing this Ironman Wisconsin, which qualified you obviously for Kona.
Yeah.
But to know that they're there because of you. Right, you were the guy. You were the person.
They might have discovered it. They might have discovered it earlier, but
Right.
With all the different support organizations and
Yes.
The media and stuff, because I was still doing, quite a bit of publicity things
Right.
and public speaking and stuff. Yeah, the word got out, and they just needed how to figure it out. But something like this.
Yes.
These are continuous glucose monitors. This one happens to be a San Diego company, Dexcom. And they're simple to use. In
So you
fact,
carry that with you all the time.
yeah. Some of the top athletes have tried to figure out what their blood sugar is doing while they're out there running. So they have one of these,
Even
But
if
all
they're
the
not diabetic, they're just trying to figure out blood sugar.
And I can't understand that because the sports medicine literature says that you have to have so many nutrients, carbohydrates and stuff, depending on your endurance. And how many calories that you can take per hour, but yet these guys are still trying to use one of these. I mean, I know. I'm, my deal is 260 calories an hour.
Right.
And then I feel
You're good.
really good with that. Yeah, grams of carbohydrate. You divide that by 4, so that's like about 70.
Okay.
Close to 70, 65, 70, and that holds me with a excellent blood sugar.
Right.
After I get through the insulin deactivation time.
Now, your son was diagnosed as well?
Yeah, Clayton.
Clayton, and that was in 2007.
Yeah.
And then obviously he's got a pretty good role model.
He's doing well. He's doing really well with the diabetes. Yeah, yeah. In fact, both he and his sister, Madeline,
Yes.
they, like chip off the old block. They're into all this crazy sports. Madeline.
You and Madeline, what? You guys did American River 50. You went and did Comrades. You guys are crazy people.
Yeah. Yeah, she's amazing. She said, I mean, she got through with trying to do this bikini contest where she dropped 25 pounds and did this thing. And then 5 weeks after that, oh no, that was earlier in the year. Madeline's wild. But she did, we came back from Comrade, South Africa a couple of years ago.
Double marathon, by the way, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And just a month later, she did the Sacramento full Ironman.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
She's awesome. She is awesome.
Well,
yeah.
she'll
be joining me on this trip.
She's coming here.
Yeah.
And this qualifying for this race, which you did a year ago, do you go into these races with specific time goals? Or you're like, hey, I want to place in my division, or you go out there and just say, I'm just pushing myself?
Bob, it's crazy as we're getting older. We're just,
Speak for yourself.
Stiffer. Yeah, okay. little stiffer, not as much strength as the young ones. The young ones are just amazing fast. But what I do is I get I'll spend 6 weeks of heavy tune-up before the race, but I'll do continuous exercise. I'm always, training, doing the sports and stuff like that. But I just don't push it, max out hard like that. I don't think it's as healthy for our cardiovascular systems. As we age up, we have little things that go on. So, just trying to be safe on that. So as far as goals go, the guys that I raced with, I forgot the fellow's name. I just can't bring his name up right now. But he had won Kona Ironman, the big dance.
Okay.
He'd won that twice, and then he showed up to our La Quinta race. Yeah. He beat me by 23 minutes.
And is he here?
But I was I was still podium guy.
Right.
I think I was fourth.
Yeah.
So I got the roll down and qualified for this. But that happened for the last 4 years. I've been invited to go to the World Championship 70.3. So
love it.
Yeah. Can still go, and
why not? Go as long as you can.
Loving it. Yeah. It's just great. Great to be here. Wonderful.
It's really, really special.
Yeah.
So when I look at most important figures in the sport, and I know you're not one of those guys who looks at yourself that way, but I mean, really, you changed a lot of lives for the better, because people found out that exercise was not a negative, that exercise actually can be a positive, and obviously you've always focused on nutrition is a big part for not just for diabetics, but for everybody. That's something that the more you're concerned about what you put in your body, the more you can have success.
That's true. That's true. In fact, my lunch bag over there, so I have the eggs and the fresh fruit, celery, carrots, a lot of the nuts, all the Blue Zone type stuff that you've seen. Maybe I think National Geographic had a Blue Zone, what those type of people are eating. I saw that and I went, well, wait a minute, that's what I do.
You're doing that already. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the nutrition aspect is just key. We're looking at different cancers all along that alimentary canal, colon cancer, stomach, and all those types of things. The cardiac health, with the modern medicine stuff. I work Eisenhower Medical Center.
Yes, you're a physical therapist.
Yes. And just having all of those opportunities for, there's colonoscopy, and then there's, you get all your cardiac, examined and make sure, I just encourage everyone to get on that train, and, prostate and all that other stuff as you age up. There's a lot of things that you can bypass just by having a good medical checkup and care.
Love it.
Yeah. One of the things we do, I'll just mention in physical therapy, there's some people say that, I just can't run anymore, or, it just hurts too much or something like that. If you have somebody that's really tuned up on the dynamics of running form and stuff like that, you can, keep going. 64 I am this year. Started running when I was 9 with my father.
Yeah.
And you know, even in spite of a broken knee that I had in beautiful 1987 over there in Rancho Santa Fe. Yeah. Everything's working.
That's all that matters, man.
Everything's working.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Billy, thank you so much for taking time. It's such a pleasure to get. I didn't realize you were coming here. I'm like, oh my God, Bill Carlson's going to be here. Let's get him on the show, because I think a lot of people don't realize the impact that you had on our sport and on so many other diabetics out there.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thank you.
Bill Carlson has been our guest, a true pioneer in the sport of triathlon and for diabetics everywhere. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Hold on. We will be right back.